John Bateman with a try assist, 136 metres. Dan Sargentson, 137 metres, 3 successful offloads.
And for St Helens, who stood out?
Jason Battier.
Jason Battier, yeah, just the 40 tackles from him, really.
No, James Roby. Well, it was defensive stuff, numbers for a couple of their players actually that stood out. James Roby, 45 tackles, 11 marker tackles. John Wilkin, 46 tackles, 12 marker tackles. That's not counting his errors and penalty stats in there, obviously. Alex Walmsley, 136 metres. Adam Swift, 125 metres. Swift tried really hard to get some sort of purpose in this game, but he was almost to Gizmo-like in his inability to make things come off. Not quite so bad. He could get away from his own line a couple of times, but it didn't work for the cartoon dog in this game, unfortunately. And you know, as much as I don't like anything in either that Red V or that ridiculous toothpaste tube of 90s design, Adam Swift is a secret favourite of mine.
Really?
Yeah, just because his face is so funny. And
it's a couple of weeks now you've put a big rap down Adam Swift. You did it on last week's show as well.
I think we've been doing it all year.
In terms, we both like him, don't we?
Yeah.
It's less less controversial when I do. Getting back to Jordan Sigismo really briefly. I thought it was wonderful how everybody, all the ex-pros and everyone associated with Sky's coverage, and anyone who could possibly have a voice, said exactly the same thing and got right around him and was like, you're going to have to put this behind you, but you're still a good pro, don't let it define you. And they were all kind of, it made me feel a bit all warm and fuzzy, really, the fraternity that they all showed to him. Nobody was really sort of sticking the boot in. It was obvious that he'd had a shitter, and, you know, they were trying to encourage the young man rather than, you know, hammer him and make him feel in any way culpable for an overall shabby team performance. It was quite nice to see from my point of view.
Like what he said, at the point where he started making his errors, he was probably one of 2 or 3 Catalan players only that were showing any enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so to family reviews for the Wigan Saints game then. Aidan Stalker got in touch. Always hurts to lose to Wigan, but having to endure a dreadful standard of game like that makes it worse. Good defence from Wigan, but the loss of Luke Walsh was really felt tonight. Delighted to see Farge back all the same. Paul Ludo Lewis. He got in touch, said a great game, full of skill and passion. Both sides could have won this match. Went one way and then the other. Best Friday night game for ages. Every minute really did matter, and I didn't know what was going on right up until Hollyweb smashed the ball home. Oh, hold on, I've got BBC One on. Very good. He's talking about the ladies' hockey.
Yeah, we'll get to that later on.
He certainly will. Tyler Casfan, far too many errors on both sides to make this a full-blooded derby game, but Wigan were the better team and just about deserved it for their defensive display. Darren Foster, who's at 68 Fozzy, F-O-Z-Z-Y, if you want to give him a follow on Twitter, says, brilliant, just brilliant, 2 points short of our favourite score.
Yeah, he doesn't mean 25-2, obviously.
No. What's 27-0 in? Why is that your favourite?
We beat them 27-0 at Wembley in a Challenge Cup final.
Oh, of course, so you did, yeah. Fair play. Dave Pike got in touch. All right, Dave, he said, Wigan have outplayed Saints, much better defensively. Wayne spoke about goal line defence before the game, and they certainly delivered for him. I was frustrated at the amount of knock-ons and the modern play the ball I hate, but that's all games. Saints were poor dropping the ball, poor pass selection, and almost trying too hard, but they lacked ability at key times and were defended out of the game. Wigan took their chances very well. Thank you, Dave.
I don't think the Luke Walsh absence affected the game.
No, I don't think it had a massive impact on that.
As much as Saints might think it did, in that how well Wigan defended, how realistically how much difference could you imagine it would have made. I think it became a big issue because of the St Helens problem with the decisions. And I said last week, didn't I, that whilst I think the decision on the field of play was totally correct for the Luke Walsh incident, and we mentioned the grading of the van, we didn't know what the result and outcome of that would be at all. That's a similar situation. I can sympathise with why they're so annoyed about it, even though it was completely correct. And it's because it's not been applied that way consistently all year. Now, I don't know if the disciplinary committee were going to have listened to the voices out there including ours potentially, I don't know, but much more well regarded or well heard views than ours about how lenient the process clearly is. It's weird that it's sort of turned around a couple of weeks after the blogs, but I'm sure that had nothing to do with it. But
I think it's been coming for a while, but let's take some credit for it if you want.
It's not a...
I'll let you.
I don't think I do. I don't think I have. I don't think I should do, sorry. But I can see why they're so annoyed about it when you look at application in other scenarios. If the RFL have come out, the disciplinary panel have come out and said we're going to start applying things more severely, so, just to be aware of that, and then this has happened, okay. But really, it should have been a clean slate for a new season if they were going to change their approach and stuff. I think that's a frustrating factor. That's when they start getting criticised as inconsistency. Like I've pointed out loads of times before, I don't think the disciplinary panel is that inconsistent. I think it's that lenient that it pisses people off. And the inconsistencies people perceive are ones that are actually written into the rules, and the rules have been applied consistently.
Yeah, I agree.
This seems to be different. And that's why I understand Eamon McManus and St Helens' gripe at it, but at the end of the day, I think the offences... What they should be saying is everything else was done wrong.
Yeah.
Ours was done right. Everything else was done wrong. That's how I would be addressing it if I were them, rather than fucking getting violins out and that sort of stuff.
Well, this is. I'm glad you've said that. This is the point I wanted to make.
Because I think it made the fans have an idea that... No, but I think it gave the fans an impetus of the wrong nature, personally.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up, because here's what occurred to me through the week when I was reading about everything that Eamon McManus had to say and the points he was making. Because, again, I don't necessarily disagree with what he said. What I think should have happened, or what I think has a bigger impact if you're the RFL or if you're the media covering this, is not to come out and do it when it happens to your own team, because people automatically dismiss it as, well, he's the St Helens chairman. What needs to happen is that you need to have say, for example, Ian Lenigan comes out and makes that point. All of a sudden, that's got a bit more weight and gravitas behind it, because he's not got a dog in that fight. In fact, if anything, it's in his interest not to. Let's have other people making that point, and let's have McManus making that point when it's about Wigan or when it's about Leeds or whoever. And that has more impact for me, because it's easier just to dismiss what he's saying as being totally pro St Helens because he's Eamon McManus.
I'm going to defend Eamon McManus a little bit.
I'm not going to go at him.
In that I know he has said these things earlier in this year.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was a game when St Helens plans were
closed. And to be fair, he does speak well on the
I think this has been something he's said at other times. So I just think he's used the platform that he would get more attention for his comments. I think the way his comments have come out have been wrong, in that he shouldn't be saying this is an injustice to St Helens.
Yeah.
What he should be saying is everyone else has been treated too leniently.
Yeah.
We've been treated correctly, everyone else has been treated too leniently. That's not the message that was delivered.
No.
And that stirs up the fans. And well, I sat here and said Sean O'Loughlin should have got a longer ban. I sat here and said Ben Flower should have got a ban for his one against Widnes and stuff. I'm not taking these things back just because they're Wigan players.
Yeah.
And I just think other clubs need to be mindful of that. There can be a lot of hypocrisy sometimes.
Yeah.
Including in my own club, because we go appealing everything. That's come at us this year. But that's because we've used the system.
You've got the right to appeal. I
don't get why St Helens' appeals weren't allowed to be heard until the Thursday this week. I'd never read up on that because I've been too busy watching the Olympics, but it seems a bit strange. And the rareness of upgraded ban.
Yeah.
For Jamie Action, but he is, a bad un.
He is a bit of he's a baddie, isn't he? He is a baddie.
Right, next game.
Game, yeah. Oh, just take your time, man. It's a leisurely stroll through rugby league this week, Mark. Okay.
I don't know, we're getting up the minutes now, Thomas.
Well, it's about time. We need to pad it out with our insights. Okay. Warrington left it late against Castleford. The Tigers might have thought they had this one in the bag with all but a few minutes to go. Luke Gale's drop goal seemingly having sealed another impressive win for Darryl Powell's men, but it was not to be, and Warrington took the spoils 14 points to 11.
Yeah, unbelievable, really. I was sat in a cafe in Durham, refreshing my Twitter feed, and the drop goal had gone over, and then people saying, that pretty much seals it for Cass. I saw some Cass fans prematurely celebrating.
Pride cometh,
it went 11-10, and then Atkins knocks back the kickoff, and then it goes one way, then the other, then back, and then suddenly Jack Hughes has the freedom of the Halliwell Jones and strolls over for a score. A very entertaining score and moment in the game for everyone but Cass fans, I suppose. But well done to.
You'd have liked to see this one on TV, really, wouldn't you? Rather than you can't predict how these games are going to go, but it's. It would have been a good one to.
Well, if Wigan and Saints had played out at 25-0, but instead of those drop balls happening, it was tough tackles.
Yeah, true.
Everyone would have been raving about that game. It's because of the drop balls, and I don't actually know how shit these two teams might have played to get to 10-all with 77 minutes on the clock.
Possibly so. I'll tell you someone who could let us know, and he does. Elliot Wrench, who made the decision to go at almost the last minute at the weekend, so I'm sure that's one that he doesn't regret. He was posting it on Facebook, I noticed.
Right.
He was like, I'm going to go. And he did. So, fair play, Elliot. Must have got your money's worth, or at least been happy with that decision to see that result. And the ending itself is worth the entry fee alone, I would almost.
Did people see the tweet we retweeted out of Elliot's about his car? Well, to do with the stuff he does with cars, safe. Well,
I don't know if people saw it, Mark.
Okay.
I can't speak for them here in my living room on a Monday night. Do you mean did I see it? Yes, I did see it. Look, well, let's talk about it a little bit then, since we're here now and we're talking about it.
I didn't read it.
No, I tend look. If you ask us to retweet stuff, we will pretty much retweet it.
I don't mean.
We're like the Ron Burgundy of retweets, aren't we? We could get ourselves in serious trouble here, couldn't we? If we start retweeting everything.
It's in my list of. Open tabs on my tablet.
Can you not wear your pen like an earring?
It's in my list of open tabs on my tablet of things to read after the Olympics, and now we're after the Olympics. I'm working through them.
Are you recovering from Olympic fever?
I feel like a little bit ill, but I'm working towards it.
There you go. I was having Joey Essex on TV instead of the Olympics work for you.
Hurts
your eyes. But yeah, no, and Warrington.
Do you know anything more about this game other than Castleford? Dennis Solomona scored a fairly easy-looking try for them, but then that was as good as it got. But it was the boot of Luke Gale that got them ahead.
Yeah.
Conversely, I think it was the boot of Gidley that kind of kept Warrington off the pace a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah, I'd say that. But credit to Warrington for backing themselves when they could have let their heads drop with a few minutes to go. They pushed through and got the result, and it means that they go into the cup final with a win under their belts as well, and perhaps actually a more worthwhile victory and performance ahead of that, where they've actually been made to work for it and have to exercise game plan rather than just roll someone over. So hopefully,
that's the talk. I don't necessarily buy into it. I think because. It's almost like if they'd have lost in a tough, close, hard-fought game, would anyone have thought that would have been of more benefit than of walking through a Catalan side for Hull FC? I just think people like to make a story out of the circumstances after they've happened rather than it be an actual factor going into the challenge. Maybe I'll have a look at results before Challenge Cup finals and see if there's been any sort of whether you've had a close game or a blowout game one way or the other, if it's impacting on who's won the Challenge Cup.
Perhaps not, but in terms of psychology, it certainly impacts on the way you go about doing things if you're Tony Smith or Lee Radford, doesn't it? In the way you're presenting training and presenting analysis and getting the team G'd up and motivated.
Yeah.
I think it probably aids them slightly more, but congratulations to Warrington on a clutch win at the end.
Oh, definitely. Despite the last gasp nature of the win, the stats suggest Warrington were actually the better side. Despite one more error and one more penalty conceded, they had 1% better team tackle success, 101 more metres, 2 more clean breaks and 2 more tries. This game also set a new season high for runs from dummy half, 66 in total, 38 from the wire and 28 from Cass.
Very good. And individually, who stood out for us then?
Chris Hill, 154 metres. Stefan Ratchford, 6 tackles, 140 metres, 2 clean breaks. Matty Russell, 5 tackles, 123 metres. Rhys Evans with a try and 117 metres. For Cass, Denny Solomona with a try, 153 metres. Junior Moores, 131 metres. Grant Millington, 125 metres. And Paul McShane, who, on the reviews I've read, got big raps from this game, 118 metres for him. Not quite not quite enough to pull his side over the line, unfortunately, for those guys, but good effort.
Yeah, he's impressed me this season, Paul McShane. Tyler Cass-fan got in touch. He said, heartbreaking to lose in the last minute, but much improvement in defence from Cass. If anything, it was our attack that wasn't firing as well as recent.